Announce. So, Josephine, so please let people know that the meeting is being recorded, and so they can choose to either stay.
Okay. I'm sure the information goes out as well on the screen. So
yes, it does.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the ODR Africa webinar for the month of September. And we're glad you're able to join us today. Today we have a very interesting topic, I must say. And we'll be looking at a topic that has been titled, Please Follow Us to the Arbitration Case Management Space. I know we've put the adverts on for a few weeks, and I know that we have quite a large number of people that have registered for this webinar. And today we have three panelists that will be taking on this very, very interesting topic. To start off, we have with us Mireze Phillipe. Mireze is a special counsel at the ICC International Court of Arbitration. She's also the co-founder and executive member of Arbitral Women, a member of the steering committee of the ERA Pledge, the Equal Representative in Arbitration. She's a fellow of the National Center for Technology and Dispute Resolution. Mireze is also a board member of the International Council of Online Dispute Resolution. And I think at this point, it will be important to mention that Mireze is also a member of, a host of other international institutions, as well as being a member of the ODR Africa Network Advisory Board. So today we're delighted to have Mireze. Along with Mireze on this panel, we have Damian Croker. Damian is a legal tech entrepreneur, an ADR practitioner with focus on the technology sector. Damian is the co-founder of ODR Plat and the founder of LexTech, an online IP services platform. He is the chair of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators of the Western Countries branch. We're delighted to have Damian with us today. Also on the panel for this very important session that we have Venkateshwar Juturu. Ventak is a director of product management at Resolve Disputes Online. I'm conscious of the fact that our session today is for 1 hour, and I'm here, and I'm sure other delegates are here to be able to take a lot in. So very quickly, I'm going to have to hand over to Mireze to direct the affairs of today's session. And as we get along, she will take other introductions and give an insight. And we're delighted that you've been able to join us at this session. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm sure you've also seen on your screen that the session is being recorded. And we found it very necessary to mention that, so that if you choose to stay on, we'll be delighted to have you on. Thank you very much for finding time to join us. And I think at this point, I'll hand over to Mireze. I welcome you all on behalf of ODR Africa Network. Thank you very much. Can we have, I like to add that as we get along, if you have questions, you can kindly put the question in the chat room, and that will be taken at the end of the session. Thank you very much, Mireze. You can kindly go on with your session. Thank you. I hope we haven't.
She's still on. I don't know.
She's done. Okay, I'm waiting for Mireze. Okay, yes, she's unmuted her microphone. Yes, thank you very much.
I'm sorry for that. Thank you. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Monique. Thank you also for ODR Africa Network for your invitation to organize this panel. So for today's knowledge sharing, we invite you to follow us to the arbitration case management space. But before walking you through online case management platforms, let me first start with some remarks of what online case management means, how it is different from virtual hearings, and what do ODR systems offer. We have chosen to address the issue of arbitration case management because there is a dire need for case management platforms specifically dedicated to arbitration. Online dispute resolution platforms, or ODR platforms, have been used for the last 2 decades to resolve all types of disputes online, including mediation, consumer disputes, civil disputes, or other type of disputes. They use a broad range of mechanisms and possible combination of techniques, such as negotiation, mediation, facilitated settlement, arbitration, and normally they are conducted exclusively online. But today's panel is putting the spotlight on arbitration precisely. There exist many platforms which are used as repository and which seem to satisfy the users, but very few platforms were built to conduct and manage the entire arbitration procedure online. Some of them were regrettably interrupted. Maybe participants can mute themselves, please. Such platforms offer a dedicated and secure space. So the online dispute resolution platforms, the case management platforms rather.
I think Mireze, you're muted. Mireze, you're muted. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know who muted me. I did not mute myself, but I'm sorry. Let me take it again. So actually, I was asking if participants can mute themselves, but I was muted at the same time. Thank you, Josephine. So I was saying that the case management platforms, actually, they were built to conduct and manage the entire arbitration procedure online. Some of them were regrettably interrupted. We may speak about later. Such platforms offer not only a dedicated, but also a secure space, allowing the players in a given case to go only to this space for every action and stage in the procedure, from exchanging messages in the secure space to uploading all documents on this space and notifying the final award also on this space. And some platforms also offer the possibility to remain within this space to hold meetings and hearings, as you will see with the platforms we will be presenting in a few minutes. And of course, using such platforms does not mean that the parties and the arbitrators cannot hold hearings in a physical space, but this additional feature is offered by some platforms to give the possibility to all players in a case to stay within that same space dedicated to their case. ODR, unfortunately, did not get the attention anticipated for many reasons. Among others, lack of business plans, lack of education of users, lack of promotion, lack of asking for feedback and answering to the users' concerns and expectations, lack of proper budgeting, and the worst, in my view, the worst of all, was the interruption of the service offered without offering a service in replacement. We can discuss this if time permits. Therefore, users were under the impression that the platforms were only pilot projects that never went beyond that stage, which is wrong, or that such platforms are projects for the future, which is again wrong. Some platforms have been around for the last 20 years and continue to operate, although, as I mentioned earlier, some of them were interrupted. So conducting arbitration online and using platforms for case management is not science fiction, as this panel will demonstrate. The worldwide lockdown since last year has generated a sudden interest in platforms for resolving disputes online. Virtual hearings became the center of discussion in the dispute resolution community, and a significant number of webinars were organized around the world to address issues related to the organization of virtual hearings, Many protocols were established. And then we saw that virtual hearings were assimilated to ODR. But ODR is not, and certainly not, limited to virtual hearings. Virtual hearings platforms offer the opportunity to replace the physical space with a virtual space in order to continue business and avoid disruption. ODR is much more than platforms for virtual hearings. There's an ongoing debate, it has been a while now, among ODR fellows from the National Center for Technology and Dispute Resolution, also called NCTDR, on what should be considered as ODR, and if using any sort of software during the proceeding can be considered an ODR procedure. In my view, ODR first refers to the use of information and communication technology to design and develop a system dedicated to conduct and resolving disputes online. Second, it consists in using technology to negotiate, mediate, arbitrate, conduct proceedings, and settle disputes exclusively or primarily online. And third, to perform any of the functions central to the practice of dispute resolution, including but not limited to sharing a single space for all communications and documents. So when platforms used assist resolving disputes online and making a significant contribution to resolving the disputes online, I consider personally that this equates to ODR. Now, how was the issue of ODR considered at the UNCITRAL Working Group 3 on ODR? We provided some definitions in the report that we issued in 2016 at the end of our work in a document called Technical Notes on Online Dispute Resolution. We clarified in the technical notes that ODR platforms are systems for generating, sending, receiving, storing, exchanging, or otherwise processing electronic communications used in ODR. We also provided in the technical notes definitions for ODR and ODR systems and described some standards that users may wish to consider when contemplating to use ODR platforms. So our panel will now walk you through two platforms built for managing and conducting arbitrations online. Damian will present his platform called ODR Plat, and then Venkat will present the DRO platform. We will afterwards share with the audience a few comments related to system design, and we will also answer your questions. Feel free, please, to add them in the chat box in the meantime, and we will also share some resources with you after the discussion. So Damian, please, you have the floor. Please share your screen and show us your platform.
Thank you very much, and hello to everybody. I thank you for taking the time to come and listen to us today. What is, I hope you'll find a very interesting topic. So I'm going to share my screen now and take you through ODR Plat. Here we go. Okay, so ODR Plat, really the background to ODR Plat is that right now people are using Zoom. And like when accountancy started doing accountancy, they used Excel spreadsheets and then they moved to a more professional platform. And that's where we see ODR Plat fits in. It combines the use of Zoom, Dropbox, DocuSign, and Outlook. So the version I'm showing you today is for sole practitioners. We also have a version used by institutions, but today I'm showing you the sole practitioner version. So as a sole practitioner, you can have your own logo, information about your practice here on the front. You have your own unique login. You log in, you're presented with activities in terms of your cases. in a graphical form, and you can export them as you wish into a PDF or a CSV, so like an Excel spreadsheet. To get a more detailed overview, you can just get rid of the three little lines, and then you'll see that you can see here your list of cases that you currently have going on, and I'll talk to you about that more in just a moment. You can create a case on the platform very easily by filling in the details of the parties, and as you fill the details in and create the dispute chamber, the login details will be sent to the parties. You don't have to create them. They're unique to the parties, to the individual that receives them. The actual case itself can be run in different languages. So if you're multilingual, so for example, if you speak Spanish, then you conduct this in Spanish, and you can have the dispute chamber created in Spanish or in English or other languages as you see fit. You can have the admin in a separate language. Here we've got it in English. I'll show you a Spanish version later on. So you've created your case, and you can enter the case simply by clicking on the logo, and you have the case details here. The parties, the rooms are automatically created for you as the arbitrator. These are the rooms that are visible to you, and I'll show you what happens when you as a party. I'll show you that in just a moment. Any documents have been uploaded will be visible here. You can schedule events at the time, a hearing, pre-hearing here on the platform, invite who you want to attend. Activities recorded in the matter history. Then the people that are actually participating in the case are listed here. As this is the arbitrator view, you can only communicate with everybody. You're not able to communicate with other people on the platform. If they were logged in, you'd know that because this would be green. You can add additional participants simply by adding the name, person, putting in their details, and then invite, and then they will receive an email, their unique login details for the platform. You can also create groups of people who might want to just communicate with each other as well by selecting this icon here. Now let me just log out and log back in now as a claimant or a respondent. I'll show you what view you would have with that, and log in as a respondent. 1 second. Right, respondent. So if I log in as a respondent, then you'll see that I have access to the respondent room, not the hearing room yet. I have to wait to be summoned into the hearing room when I log in. You'll see that I'm being asked to upload the statement of defense because the claimant has uploaded their statement of claim already. To do that, I just select document, the statement of defense, and grab the document from my folder, statement of defense, and I upload that. And you'll see that it's uploaded here. So that's and you'll see that it's recorded the fact that I've uploaded the statement of defense. As a respondent, I can go into the room. Yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out again into an arbitrator to show you the hearing room. You can do in there. into the hearing room as the arbitrator. Okay, so my cases, go in here. Right, so I'm going to go in the hearing room now. So I stop the Zoom video, so you can't see me now. Now I'm going to go into the hearing room. And now I'm actually on the ODR platform using its own video technology. This was created, this hearing room was created when you created the dispute chamber. There's no plugins or anything. It's all embedded within the system. I can see the participants here. I can invite them in by these arrows. So if I want the claimant to come in, and I just summon them because they're in the claimant room, and then they would help to come in, and then I can dismiss them again simply like that. I can control their video and also their voice as well. So that things are getting a bit unruly, you can control them. So witnesses also have their own language. They come in, and you can use the same principle for witnesses coming in and out and talking to them. And any documents that are on the system are loaded here. You can access them on the system. You can also do share screening as well. Share your screen on the platform. Then communications. Any communications will be listed here that are on the platform. And just to finish, I'm just going to show you a language version. So let me just show you that now. And then show you the language support.
Damian, you seem to be muted.
Oh, can you not hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me. Oh, that's good.
Yes, we can
So
now.
this is the Spanish version. So so in my list of cases, I had London Gin as an arbitrator, and if you are a Spanish speaker or a French speaker, or you can run your cases in those languages as well on the system. It operates independently. So that's an overview of the system. This was the sole practitioner version. We have another version which for institutions. Just to give you a sense of pricing, for a sole practitioner in Kenya or Nigeria, you're looking at about $18 a month, and that gets you everything you've seen here today. And if you want to do mediation on the platform as well, which it supports, that would be an extra $9 a month. And then for each case run on the platform, that's $18. So we're offering free demos, free 1 month trial, and also free training. So it's all free, very good value. Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Damian, can I ask you a question before we move to Venkat? Can you upload several documents at the same time? That is, for instance, the memoranda together with several exhibits.
Yes, well, I mean, you would upload them individually. Yes, you can have as many documents uploaded as you want. Okay, great. So there is no limitation of size of documents either. No limitations, no. It's designed for cases of all sizes, from small to large. Great. Well, thank you, Damian. And we will probably have questions from participants as to other details of the feature. I'll give the floor now to Venkat, and please do not hesitate, participants, to put your questions in the chat box, but you can also speak later, not necessarily write, but speak when we will give you the floor.
So Venkat, take it please forward.
Thank you, Mireze. Hope everybody is able to hear me clearly. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm happy and proud to present the RDO platform. We call it RDO Resolve Disputes Online. That's my company name as well as my platform name. So without much further ado, I will start showing my screen and let me know if you're able to see it. Okay, I'm assuming that everybody is able to see this. The RDO platform is available for both individual practitioners as well as enterprises. In fact, the RDO platform is also available as a service called RDO Now that we provide, where people from anywhere, general public can log in, sign up, log in, and they can invite any other party to come in and have a negotiation to start with, which can further be moved on to, let's say, a mediation kind of a situation that will help solve the disputes, or can also be escalated to an arbitration kind of a dispute. On the flip side, arbitrators or mediators, what we call neutrals in general, they can subscribe to our platform and they can conduct their business digitally via our platform. So they will log in into our platform and then they can invite their users to come in and participate in our platform. What I understand here is that the arbitration workflow is of interest. So I'll be concentrating more on that. But if you do have any questions on how RDO can support negotiation and mediation, I'm happy to answer those as well. So let me start off by taking you through the login of how an arbitrator would conduct his or her business. So I'm going to be logging in as Joan Richards, our arbitrator. You will see that depending on the location, time zones, and several other settings are available for our arbitrator to choose. This is truly a platform without any boundaries. So you could conduct your business from anywhere in the globe with your clients being anywhere else as well. So what I'm showing you is obviously a demo system. So there are several cases that are ongoing. As an arbitrator, you can, if you want to understand what you're doing and where you are in a given on a given day, you can click on my case list, and then you'll see the list of cases that you're working on. You would have things like pending cases, ongoing, completed. So these are several filters that you can adopt to understand and narrow down on the cases that you're working on. To start with a case, you can go ahead and say register a new case here, and you can click on this item. Now, this is a set of screens that are common for negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. And if a person is coming in to start off with mediation, they will see another option here. But since I'm logged in as an arbitrator, we have access control that enables only certain things to be visible in the platform that is relevant to the user that is logged in. So here we're talking about getting a binding decision, which is another name for arbitration. Then you can go click on the next step. There are several case categories and subcategories. So you could choose any one of them. So let's say you're talking about an employment case, and then there's an unfair dismissal case. You can then click on the next one, and you can go ahead and put in some description. So unfair dismissal, and you can say what is the compensation that the claimant is asking for. So let's say £10,000, and then you go to the next step. And this is the place where you invite claimants and respondents. Now, the moment you invite a claimant and respondent, you can go ahead and put in their details, and emails will be sent out. And because this is going to take some time, I'm going to take you into a case that is already that I've already set up for the purposes of this demo. So this is a case where there is a tenant and a landlord, and the tenant is claiming a personal injury case. So you can see something called the party details here, which talks about who are the claimants and respondents that are there. The RDO platform automatically assigns a role or a person called a case officer that would be a single point of contact that will handhold all the participants in the case and ensure that the case is moving towards a speedy resolution. So if there are technical issues or there are issues on people not responding, then the case officer can be reached out to provide that kind of support. So you would see here that I've called a tenant and I've called a landlord to come in and participate in this case. And once I do that, the case status will be visible here. It'll say awaiting reply to case invites. So let me show you, let me walk you through what happens in the case so that you're able to experience that as we go along. So I can log in as, let's say, the tenant. And as I log into the tenant, you can see that I've had several cases in the past that I've participated on. So in order to see what cases are there, etc., I have this bell icon, which basically shows the updates on old cases that I've had, messages that have been sent to me, etc. In this case, in this situation, I have a new case that has been where I've been invited. So Joan Richards, the arbitrator, is invited. So I click on this, and then this gives me the status of what this case is all about. Incidentally, this entire workflow that I did, even for a first-time user, it will be available as an email sent out while the claimant or the respondent, the parties are registered, and there will be links in the email that you can click to and basically arrive at this page after you do your initial login setup, password setup, and etc. So you can then go ahead and accept or reject. If the case is rejected, then the arbitrator would have to again re-invite or figure out some other way to get the people involved. But let's assume that both parties are accepting this. So I can go ahead as since I've logged in as the tenant here, I can go ahead and give my side of the story. You know, why I believe this is an important case for me and what I'm looking for, all of that, and I can go ahead and submit, and I'm going to be admitted into the case, right? So you will see the case details here. It's called tenant and the landlord because I'm the tenant and the opposing party is the landlord. If a lot of details in our platform is configurable. So for example, if you didn't want the ampersand and instead you wanted to use the words vs versus, you could configure it that way. You could configure whether to show the first name or the last name. So I'll briefly take you through what configuration options our platform offers, but there's a lot that we can do here. So this shows the status of the case. Right now, since only the tenant has joined, it's still awaiting reply from all the other parties in the case. So I will quickly log in as the landlord and go through the next step. So I log in as the landlord. I can do the same thing. I can go to the case invites. I can see that there is a case invite on this case. I can accept it. I can give my side of story in this case, and I have to do this before I submit. So this triggers the next status of the case where this is in progress. Since all the users have now joined, we can go ahead and go through the process of arbitration and come up with a speedy conclusion for the case. You would notice as participants in the case that there is agenda that you can look at, so you can understand if there are tasks, if there are appointments, messages, case decisions, etc. So let me take you through some of the features that we have to offer. So the first is an integrated, secure end-to-end messaging that we provide in the platform. So you do not need to go outside the audio platform in order to discuss with each other, with all the participants in the case. So you can start the conversation. So let me say, hi, thanks for inviting me, and this would be available for the arbitrator as the person sees it. Now, if I believe that I need to bring in additional people, let's say I want to add a lawyer to represent me in this arbitration, I can then go ahead and say, there's an individual, I would like to bring a legal representative. Obviously, it is my legal representative, and I can go ahead and add the details, and an invite will be sent out to the legal representative as well. And once a legal rep is added, that person has the same kind of rights that I have as a landlord or as a tenant in order to work on this case. So we saw the messages option. Let me take you through the calendar option where you can create a new appointment. In fact, before that, let me quickly go back to the messages. If you want to go ahead and have a conversation with with people, you can go ahead and actually log into secure messaging and video conferencing on this portal. You could also do the same thing via calendar. You can create a new appointment. And I'm not going to go through the mechanics of creating an appointment. It's going to take a lot of time. But once an appointment is created, it will be visible as an item in your calendar. You can click on that, and we have an integrated video conferencing system that you can then use for secure video conferencing. We have options to be able to record the video conference itself, download it and save it and so on, right? So this is a very elaborate calendar feature that we have. We also have something called a personal profile. So you can go into my account and then you can actually decide on calendar settings, time zone settings. So you can go ahead and say, what is your work week? What is the work? What is the time zone that you're available on, and so on and so forth. So that all this allows for a truly global experience where you don't have to worry about looking at time zones, doing the translation of time, etc. Similarly, there are several other things that you can do. You can go ahead and change your profile. Those are things that are there as a part of our portal. Not go too much into it. Now, as an arbitrator, one of the first things that I'd probably do is to ask for some evidences and other things to be uploaded to understand more about the case, right? So I could set up a pre-trial conference through the calendar option, which we just mentioned. But what I could also do is set up a task. So I can create a task and I can assign it to relevant parties to say that they need to give evidence of the fact that to support that case. So in this case, I'm going to allow the claimant and the respondents to do a couple of things. One, I can request a file upload. So please provide, okay, let me just say evidence, and you can configure where in the platform you want the files to be placed. So it's a full-fledged file sharing tool as well. So let's assume it's in the files root folder. Then you can go and say, please upload evidence. Please do let me know if I'm going very fast, and I'll try to slow down. But I'm assuming that you're able to follow me as I'm talking about this. So once I've created this task, let me log in. Actually, I'll create two tasks now that I'm here. So I'm going to create another task, and this time the task is to sign an agreement saying that you're willing to abide by the rules of the arbitration. So for that, we have something called a PDF signature. So you can go ahead and say arbitration agreement. You have a template, so you can go ahead and say, let me go to my templates, arbitration agreement. Please sign this, right? So now I've created two tasks. You can look at this area to see who's created the task, who it has been assigned to, what is the due date, and whether it's in progress, and so on, right? So let me now log out and quickly log in as one of the users. So let's say tenant again. I'm going to log in, and I can see that there are two tasks that are assigned to me right here. So I can click on this. I can go ahead and first sign the arbitration agreement. If I want, I can download this to see what the agreement is all about. So there you go. And I can go back here. I can view it and again sign, right? So when I sign this document, what it's asking me to do is put in my electronic signature. So I go ahead and put in my password again, and I submit it, right? Now, it is still pending because I haven't done something called, it's still pending because the other person has not provided their signature yet. So let me quickly log in as the landlord and do the same thing, right? So I see a similar situation. I go to this arbitration agreement. I sign this document, putting in my password. And it's actually completed. Because this is my task that is still available here, you're seeing this as pending. But if I go to the completed one, you will see that this has been completed. Similarly, we have a filter that makes it easy for you to understand if there are any overdue tasks and what you need to do for the overdue tasks, right? So this is a very user-friendly way of filters that we have in all portions of our platform that enables it to make it very easy for all participants to understand what's going on. Now, I can quickly show you about how to upload files for evidences. So let me log in as the tenant again, and then show that you'll see that since there were 2 tasks assigned to me, one of them has been completed, so only one is due. Now I can upload the file. I can choose up to 10 files at a time, and depending on the site setting, there could be various sizes that we can control based on what you really need. It can go easily up to 1 GB per file if it's required as well, right? So in this case, I'm uploading this file. Sometimes takes a little time. It's a fairly small file, yeah. And now I can complete it. Now you would see that since this is a file upload kind of a task, I could do multiple files. I could do it at multiple instances. I don't have to do everything in one go. So even though I've uploaded something, I've not marked this as complete. So it will be available for others to view only if I mark it as complete, right? So now in this case, I've marked this as complete. Now let me take you back to the arbitrator's view to understand how that person views it, views all the tasks and the files that have been uploaded, right? So we go back to the tasks. There were 2 tasks. One is completed by both people. So you can see that it's completed by both the tenant and the landlord, and they can view the PDF. So the signatures are actually attached in the PDF and uploaded back. So this is an indisputable way to say that the agreement has been signed by both parties, and since it's an electronic signature, it is applicable in the court of law, etc., right? So going back, this file upload task, only the tenant has completed it, and because of that, it's still pending. It's not gone into the completed space. Now assume that we've done all of that. You can go back to the file section and see all the files that have been uploaded by the users. Like I told you, there is a very highly configurable file folder structure. So instead of having everything in your root folder, you can create as many folders as you want. Incidentally, you can also create a new folder right here. So I can say my files, and I can create it. You will notice that I don't need to share it with people here yet. So I can create the folder. I can upload a few files, and then once I'm ready, I can go ahead and start sharing this folder or start sharing the files person by person. So that's another way by which this is highly configurable and very, very user-friendly. Now let's assume that I've had my conferences, I've had tasks, I've had evidences taken, I've had a round of conferences. Then right now I'm assuming that I'm able to go ahead and make a judgment on this. I can go to something called a case decision. This is a case decision drafter technology. I can create a new one. I can say against which parties this particular case decision is. And you'll notice the reason why you need to select is because RDO as a platform does not restrict you to have a case with only 2 parties. This is very much scalable for a multi-party agreement. I'm sorry, am I going over on time? Did somebody say something?
No, Venkat, but let me know how many minutes you need, but in order that we leave some time for the questions.
Absolutely.
But
so I'll make it short. I'll complete it in the next 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mireze. So I can go ahead and once I created this, I can go ahead and start drafting my decision. And I can say, this is my decision on the case, blah, blah, blah. And then I can go ahead and submit and sign the decision. So, sorry, let me save changes. Yeah. So again, I put in my signature and the case decision is made. And this also completes the case. So if I go back to my home page, you will see that the case is completed. There is a case activity timeline screen that shows you all the things that have happened sequentially, chronologically, going all the way back to start of the time. And you could go ahead and look at all the other things that are happening here. There is also something called knowledge base that we provide for first-time users as well as seasoned users. You can go ahead and see all the things that you need to do. For example, as a neutral, as an arbitrator, what are your actions? What do you need to do, etc. I'll just take a couple of minutes to quickly talk about our configurability. I told you that we're a highly configurable platform. So I've logged in as the platform administrator. I can go into the administrator settings, and you would see that I can almost configure every single screen and every single email that this platform sends out, including the error messages, the success messages, etc. I can create my own color schemes for the for the platform so that you can personalize it yourself. For institutions, this is also a white labeled platform, so you can go ahead and provide any kind of changes. The enterprise users can go ahead and use it, configure it to their convenience. Our platform provides a very detailed analysis and feedback facility. As an end user or as a neutral, you can provide your feedback, and all that will be visible here. So that's RDO. Perhaps I did this a little fast, so happy to take any questions when you're ready. Back to you, Mireze.
Thank you, Venkat. So thank you very much, Damian and Venkat, because I truly hope that these presentations will help demystify the use of platforms to conduct arbitrations and may convince the audience also that arbitration platforms are not science fiction. So I had indicated that I will first ask questions to the panelists before giving the floor to the audience, but I see that some of the questions and comments in the chat box may somehow overlap with questions that I had for the panelists. So perhaps we can start with the audience first. Josephine, would you like to take it, or shall I take it? As you wish, you tell me.
Well, I mean, I could go on, and then if you want to come in at some point. So once again, a big thank you to Damian and Venkat. And I saw that Damian made attempt at answering some of the questions on the chat already, but I'll still read them out in case Venkat has some input. So the first question was from Abiodun, and it says, does ODR Plat guide the sequence of tendering or submitting exhibits by parties? Damian already answered that, and he said he gave an illustration of what he did at the point. So I don't know if he wants to make any additions before I go into the second question. Or would you like me to take all the questions first, and then the ones that overlap can be taken together?
I guess one by one would help the participants to follow.
Okay. So Damian, do you want to say anything to what you already put on the chat, or Venkat?
Well, the system guides the participants through what they need to do next. So when each time you log in, it will tell you what your next task is in order to make sure that all the right documentation is up there in an arbitration. So the defense after the claim, any kind.
Okay. I think Damian is frozen at the moment.
Yeah.
Whilst he's trying to sort out his network, Venkat, do you want to make any additions, or I go straight on to?
No,
okay,
just a quick point. There are various philosophies on how arbitration and ODR should happen in real life. So RDO has taken an approach where we want the platform to be as flexible as possible. In parallel, what we do is train our users, our arbitrators, or any other neutrals that require training on how to go about conducting arbitration. So we believe that would be a better approach rather than straitjacketing a particular workflow on the platform. So that's the approach that we've taken.
Thank you. Well, I believe that has been helpful. So very quickly, I'll go into the second one. I think we have about 8. And then Morenica had asked, can the parties request that you return all documents uploaded and submitted? And can you do that fully from your systems? This was addressed to both Venkat and Damian.
Can I make a remark about this question before giving the floor to Damian and Venkat? Returning, I believe that by returning, you mean destroying, because obviously the documents are in digital form on the platforms, and there is no returning, but potentially destroying. From experience, I can tell you that some platforms, some institutions, for example, have a proposal in their terms of use that invite the parties and the arbitrators to agree on a period during which the documents will remain on the platform, after which the documents will be destroyed. And same for the case, because I saw also another question asking about the details, and the data uploaded on a case. And again, it depends on what the arbitrators and the parties have agreed upon, and potentially what an institution also proposes as service. But perhaps Damian and Venkat have specific answers to this, but I wanted to share this as a general experience with respect to returning or destroying documents and data.
Yeah, Mireze, as what I've written, what you've just said, that it's between the arbitrator and the parties as to what happens to the documents. And obviously, some countries have document retention rules as well. So it's not managed by ODR Plat, it's managed by parties themselves. We don't make decisions about that. So there are rules around arbitration which need to be abided. Our system supports that.
Yeah,
okay.
And just to add, Mireze, I think I agree with what both you and Damian said. We also provide, RDO also provides the ability to export these documents and then put it into other areas in a secure manner. For example, if you need to move from let's say arbitration to trial, or you want to reappeal in a different place, then you don't want to go about getting all the documents all over again. So we also provide the ability to export. But all of this is done in a very secure manner. And going back to destroying the documents, it's again depends on the arbitrator and the users.
Fantastic. Well, I believe the comments from Mireze and additional comments from Damian and Venkat have taken care of the next two questions relating to how long you can keep the data. So we can actually skip those two questions. So we go ahead to another question from Abiodun. And it says, how does the platform ensure information/documents shared are not compromised?
I can go first. Ours is a cloud platform, and it's 100% secure. So we use standard cloud providers like AWS, Azure, DigitalOcean. So their security is one of the industry leading security. So any kind of intrusion, penetration, all of that is protected by our cloud providers. That said, the messages, the file uploads, all of that is protected through HTTPS protocols and all the other encrypted protocols that allow users to interact with the system. In fact, our data is protected both at rest, which means everything is encrypted in our database, as well as encryption is there during the transmission of the data.
Okay, I think there was a second part to that question, and that's with respect to having some fiduciary agreement. During the course of the presentations by Venkat and Damian, I don't recall anything said about agreement. Maybe that was why this question came up, to find out if some sort of agreements will usually be signed and all of that.
So in terms of, I'll take the question. So yeah, in terms of security, we're very similar to RDO, except we don't use AWS. We use a dedicated data center because we want to have our own dedicated servers, and we don't trust AWS, mainly because it's also controlled by US data control laws, which can mean that they have access to what's on your database, which we don't want to be subject to. Anyway, that's just an aside. In terms of confidentiality, we don't control what's agreed in an arbitration. Arbitration is about party autonomy, and what happens to the documents, how they're accessed. You can see them. Access controls on our system. As to whether people share documents and so on, that's outside of our control. So party autonomy says that they agree, they decide what happens within that arbitration, not us.
Okay, thank you. Aisha, the one.
So sorry, just a comment, Josephine. Venkat, if you have a comment, please go first on this particular issue.
Actually, we allow our customers who are independent neutrals to sign terms of service as they sign up on our platform. If I understood the question right, is there an agreement between RDO as a service provider with the arbitrator. If that's the question, then yes, we do provide terms of service that you can look at, and your usage of the platform is subject to you agreeing to that terms of service. So the that's very clear. We also have a very detailed privacy policy that you can take a look at.
Okay.
The remark that I wanted to make is to share experience with the Netcase platform, which was built for the ICC. There was an agreement that the parties and the arbitrators were requested to sign once the arbitral tribunal was constituted, and by which normally every single player in a case was invited to agree on playing by the rules, i.e. to make sure that they connect to the platform, read the documents, read the messages, and abide by the rules. So whenever there was one person who did not agree on using the platform, then the service would not be offered in any specific case. But the agreement was first on using the platform between the institution and the players, but then any other agreement, obviously a procedural agreement, would be between the arbitrators and the parties.
Okay, thank you very much, Mireze. I think we have two more questions, and the first one, which might have been answered along the line, is if I deactivate my account, to what extent will your platform hold on to online copies in your database? I mean, if I deactivate my account, so I mean, for how long will you still have some of those documents?
You don't keep them. Deleted.
Sorry?
Deleted. If you activate the
Deleted.
account, we'll just delete it.
Okay. Okay.
Now, it depends again on the remark that I made just now. It depends on whether you are in the procedure and you have committed to play by the rules, i.e. to connect and to discover about the messages and the documents which were uploaded, because obviously you cannot decide to disconnect in the middle of the procedure and then stop using the platform. There would be a procedural problem, I believe, if I got the question right. So it depends, and if the person disconnects afterwards at the end of the procedure, it all depends on the person. If the person is not interested in either in downloading and saving documents on her or his computer before the case is closed on the platform, it really depends on the person. But obviously during the procedure, I hope that all players again remain committed to take the case forward in an appropriate way.
So I answered the question on the basis that it's a sole practitioner asking that question. If they decide not to continue using ODR Plat as a service, any documents that are on the platform would be deleted.
Okay. Okay. At the time. Okay. Thank you very much, Damian. I think we just take one last one, and this is from David Wilson. And it says, could you please comment on whether you believe the platforms comply with GDPR and similar privacy regulations? He would like comments from both Venkat and Damian.
Yeah,
just comment.
Let me go first. So as I had mentioned, we follow the highest levels of encryption and privacy in terms of handling both data in motion and data at rest in our platform. So yes, we do comply with most of the standard security policies globally.
Okay.
I believe Damian has also sort of addressed this issue by mentioning that they would not leave the data accessible to, you mentioned the US, I think, Damian?
Yes. Yeah. We take it very seriously. That's why we don't use AWS. Okay.
Okay, so it's all taken care of, and I'm sure David has listened, and that takes care of your question. If we don't have any other questions at this moment, I believe Morenike had said she would like to say a word, so I'd like to invite Morenike.
Can I have a few more minutes? Sorry, Josephine, unless the time is really short.
I'm sure we can take a few more minutes. We can take a few more minutes, Mireze. Thank you so much.
Because I thought it was interesting to share also comments with regard to the system design and how it was built, because as I mentioned, it is not science fiction. That being said, building platforms is not as simple, i.e. that it needs really significant work, and there's the significant work behind it in designing the dispute system. Many elements must be taken into consideration, and probably the first and most important one is to understand what the users need in order to meet their expectations when building any system. So are we building a case management platform, or is it the platform meant only for online mediation? Is the purpose of the project to offer consumers practical means to resolve disputes? Is the system designed for state courts? What the budget is? What are the resources? How the team is constituted for drafting the specifications and for taking the project forward? Who will participate to the tests and so on? So if you allow me, I will simply put the following questions to Damian and Venkat in order to share with the audience how they have taken this project forward. So first, if you can briefly tell us how this project was born, which type of end users did you target, and if you made surveys with potential end users. Damian, can you go first, please?
So the background to this project was myself and my business partner founded the company. He's a dispute lawyer of 30 years. We're both arbitrators and mediators. I'm a technology guy of 30 years as well. I know, I look too young. Anyway, so we felt there was a need for a platform, and this was pre-COVID, for low-cost arbitration and mediation, actually. And we felt this could be delivered online, and that there's a lot of businesses missing out on access justice because they have to wait years in court systems. And so we wanted to make a system that made it very easy to resolve disputes. And that's why we combined both the document sharing and the video all in one platform. So that was the background. In terms of users, myself and John, business partner, we're both arbitrators and mediators, very much in the community. As you said, I'm a member of the Chartered Union of Arbitrators. I'm a practicing mediator. So we talk to our friends around the world. What are you looking for in a platform? As a technologist and someone who's developed platforms in the past, I produced a document based on that, which is what we developed ODR Plat against. There you go.
Thank you, Damian. Venkat?
Yeah, if Joe Alkhayat and Aditya Shivkumar, they are the founders of RDO. If they were here, you'd probably hear a similar story. I'm not going to be talking on behalf of them about how they felt and how they came up with this platform in the very beginning. RDO has been in existence for about 4 years now, as I understand. I'm a fairly new entrant into the company, but I'll tell you how we are developing our current version. I'll share my experience. So what we're doing is, naturally, since the founders are, again, mediators and arbitrators themselves, they bring in a lot of personal experience. We also have the advantage of having a multicultural experience. Aditya, who's one of the founders, is from India. Joe is from the UK, settled in Australia. So we do have a multicultural experience that we're bringing into creating this platform. That said, every single person that's working here is kind of trained in the area of the legal domain on what jurisprudence is all about, and what are the various ways in which justice is delivered across the globe, including things like the UI, the user interface that we created was actually done by a lawyer who also has expertise in developing user interfaces. We have our partners globally who have been both IT service providers for ODR platforms as well as for court systems. So we take in expertise from all our partners and other stakeholders to bring in what you're seeing today as RDO. Mireze, to just extend on the question that you asked, the product that we are building is not straitjacketed into just for arbitration purpose. Like I mentioned in my demo, you can start off with just negotiation. You do not need to have a neutral come in and view what is happening on the case if you don't need to, right? So if you are an agency that's wanting to resolve disputes, you do not need a neutral. You can run this platform on your own. Individuals can sign up. In fact, we are working with organizations. We're working with corporates where they're using this platform for internal dispute resolutions, grievance addressal systems, and so on. The same platform that we have is also extensible for the courts. So if you want to run an online trial, you could very well do that. In fact, for one of our clients, the court system actually wants to adopt ODR as a means of delivering justice to the public in their jurisdiction. So what they're saying is they're asking people to go through an FAQ first to understand whether a particular thing really needs a trial or not, a particular dispute, or can it be resolved via ODR. So if it can be resolved via ODR, they're encouraging the public to use this service. And if they're not happy with it or they're not getting the outcome that they need for whatever reason, it can automatically be translated into a trial on the same platform. So that's the way we have developed the system. Hope that answers your question, Mireze.
Yes, thank you very much, Venkat. So the second question again, and I think this is really excellent because it really helps the audience to see how it worked behind the scenes. It's important not just to see the platform, but what was the thinking behind it. Without sharing confidential information, of course, both of you, what do you consider being the most important aspects of your business plan? For example, was it the budgeting for the upgrading or the dissemination of information, the customization to clients' needs? What do you think have, at least so far, been, in your view, considered the most important element? Venkat?
Yeah, I can go first. Thanks, Mireze. Actually, it's an excellent question. Our RDO's byline, our vision is to make justice accessible to everyone, right? And justice can be in different forms. Like I said, it could be in, just between two people. It could be that you need to do it in a more formal court setup. It could be in an enterprise environment, in a corporate environment, and so on. So for us, I think the most important thing is how do you, whatever be the situation in which you're facing yourself with a dispute, what is the easiest way in which you can get the resolution done? And what support would a person need in order to achieve that objective? And how can IT be an enabler in order to be able to do that? So that's the vision with which we're working on. And anything and everything that we do is centered around the user, whether it is a member of the public that is actually going to be benefited by their dispute getting resolved, or if it's a practitioner like an arbitrator or a mediator who is able to get their work done more quickly and then have a higher turnaround rate for their case, for their number of cases, right? So it's basically putting the user in the center of it all and then developing systems around it. So that's the way in which we are looking at this platform.
Thank you. Damian?
Yeah, so we've developed two systems, if you like, one for institutions, one for sole practitioners. Sole practitioners so they can run their practice on a single platform, whether it's for arbitration or mediation or adjudication. The driving forces were about access to justice. The platform itself is carbon neutral. So we're very keen to ensure that we don't add to the carbon footprint of the age. IT will be, come 2025, contribute more to carbon footprint than aviation. Data centers are generally very dirty. So we've taken a view that we're going to use a carbon neutral data center and be carbon neutral as a company and enable people to have what we call carbon neutral access to justice. That's kind of our overriding design approach. There's a short answer. Let's moving on.
Great. Any more feedback you would like to share, both of you, from users so far? If you have any interesting comment you wish to share with the audience? No, that's fine.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I've interacted with users from different geographies as a part of my role being the head of product at RDO. And I've always heard, the primary response to be your product is very easy to use, right? So it doesn't take too much time to understand what to do in the product. It's very intuitive. So that, I believe, is a great source of motivation for us to continue on the vision that we have on this product.
Super. Damian?
Yeah,
Anything?
I mean, it's good, easy to use, low cost, all those good things. Can make anything up. It's all good.
Great. Any more questions from the audience, or can I show up very quickly slides with some with some resources that may be useful for the audience?
Yes, please, because we should be rounding up now. So if you could do that quickly.
Okay, great. So here we go. All right. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So
Thank
here we
you.
go. You have books which are really very interesting here. And I see that Sarah Hourani, sorry, I misspelled your name, Sarah. She's connected. She's one of the editors of this book, Access to Justice and Arbitration. Another one is Online Dispute Resolution Theory and Practice. And the first one is also very interesting. It's about dispute system design. And you also have some reports and soft law, which would be interesting also to learn about. If you wish, I can share these slides with you, Josephine, afterwards, and you can share them with the people who registered. And also other resources which are really of high importance is the NCTDR Center that really reports about almost everything that exists out there in relation with online dispute resolution, system design, and so on. I think it was important to share this with you. I'll stop here and we'll send you the slides afterwards. Josephine, thank you very much. Thank you for those who attended, and we are happy to take any question afterwards, either through emails or you can contact the panelists separately. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mireze. I mean, very, very insightful knowledge sharing session. You've been a fantastic moderator, and excellent presentations by Damian and Venkat. So now very close to rounding up the session, but I would like to hear from Morenike. Morenike, can you please go on?
Thank you, Josephine, and thank you again, Mireze, Damian, and Venkat. We really learned a lot. And this is just to say a little about ODR Africa. We're the pioneer ODR network in Africa. And ODR Africa is a source of information for the development of deployment of technology, just like we have seen today, for effective resolution of disputes, while promoting, of course, the goal of access to justice in the African region and outside of it. And so we are trying to create that medium to create awareness and opportunities to use technology in the support of dispute resolution, because we see all of these things taking place around the world, and we just thought it would be really nice that if we try to do that in this region and on the continent. And so we invite as many of us who are interested in going forward with us, and we will send, just as Mireze had said, we will send with the recording of this session materials that you can read and go through, because our goal really at ODR Africa is just to develop knowledge and to expand that knowledge. So once again, I want to thank everyone who has taken time. We are a bit out of time now, and I'll just pass it back to Josephine so we can close. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank you
very much, Morenike. Just the final words, again, to say a big thank you. I believe that the delegates, the audience have had a lot of take home from today's session. It's been amazing. And, you know, I know that by the time we circulate the slides we have received from Mireze, of course, you know, participants will be able to learn a lot more about, you know, the useful, very useful information they've received from this session. Thank you very much for your time, Mireze, for agreeing to join us at this session. And for Damian and Venkat, we'll say a big thank you. And then we look forward to interacting with you all in the future. And for delegates and participants, thank you very much and wish you all a great evening or afternoon, wherever you may be. Morning. Thank you very much. Okay, bye. Okay, then.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.